Just 8 minutes ago, the Indiana Fever's locker room went from buzzing laughter to stunned silence. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull stepped forward with an announcement about Caitlin Clark that froze teammates in disbelief and sent shockwaves through fans everywhere. It was the kind of moment that hits you in the chest before your brain can even catch up. Cunningham was the first to step up, her trademark game face steady but her eyes betraying the weight of what was coming. Her voice didn't crack, but there was an edge to it, the kind you hear when someone is holding back more than they want to show. She told the room that what they were about to share wasn't easy, but it had to be said. Then, without missing a beat, Hull took the mic. Her tone was softer, but every bit as serious. She revealed that Caitlin Clark would be stepping away from the court indefinitely. Not because of a trade. Not because of drama or league politics. But due to what she called a personal matter. No details. No clarifications. No follow-up questions. The silence that followed was suffocating. Teammates sat frozen. Reporters hesitated. You could hear the weight of those words hanging in the air. Outside that locker room, the news detonated instantly. Within minutes, it was trending across social media. Fans were demanding answers. Analysts scrambled for context. Even rival players reacted in real time, all asking the same thing. What is really happening inside Indiana's locker room, and why now, at the most critical stretch of the season? Everywhere you looked, the news was impossible to escape. Twitter feeds exploded, Instagram comment sections flooded, and TikTok clips of the press conference pulled millions of views before most people had even finished lunch. Fans weren't just reacting, they were dissecting. Frame by frame, Sophie's expression, Lexie's tone, every pause, every glance. Some swore they saw Sophie's lip tremble before she passed the mic. Others insisted Lexie's voice cracked as she said Caitlin's name. And with every replay, the rumors multiplied. Whispers of a behind-the-scenes incident. Speculation about private struggles. Cryptic theories tied to the Fever's last road trip. None of it confirmed, all of it spreading faster than the team's PR could contain. And yet, through the storm of speculation, Sophie and Lexie held the line. No extra detail, no slip of the tongue. Just polite but unshakable refusal to say more. That silence only deepened the mystery. What could possibly push Caitlin Clark, one of the league's most competitive and seemingly unstoppable stars, to walk away at the peak of a season where every game mattered? Now, in hindsight, fans are convinced the signs were always there. Clark's public appearances had started to look different. Her energy a touch dimmer, her smile shorter, her interviews quicker and more guarded. The sharp, confident answers she was known for replaced with clipped responses, especially when questions strayed away from basketball. At the time, most chalked it up to fatigue from the relentless WNBA grind. But diehards noticed the cracks. A deep sigh caught on camera as she walked off after a narrow win. A tense exchange with Sophie during practice, brushed off with laughter, but replayed endlessly online. And that late-night Instagram story, a black screen with the words, "Focus on what matters." At the time, it looked like nothing. No. Fans are treating it like a breadcrumb leading straight to this stunning decision. The timeline has become a breeding ground for theories, some reasonable, some wild, but all circling the same haunting question. What really happened to Caitlin Clark? Theories kept piling up, each one adding more fuel to the fire. Because if there's one thing the WNBA community loves, it's digging for the story behind the headline. And right now, every sign points to something much bigger simmering beneath the surface than anyone outside the locker room has been allowed to see. And for anyone who knows Sophie Cunningham, the weight of her stepping up to deliver this news can't be overstated. Sophie isn't just another teammate. She's built her entire reputation on being the loudest, fiercest, and most unapologetic defender of her squad. The kind of player who will take a technical without hesitation if it means sending a message. And from the moment Caitlin Clark arrived in Indiana, Sophie claimed the role of enforcer, making it clear that if anyone wanted to take shots at the rookie, they'd have to go through her first. That loyalty won her admiration from Fever fans, criticism from rivals, and cemented her as Caitlin's closest ally on the floor. Which is why her voice catching, just slightly, during this announcement hit harder than anything she could have said on the court. This wasn't polished PR spin. It was a raw human reaction from someone who has spent the entire season throwing her body in front of Caitlin's critics and challengers, and was now asking the world to give her teammates space. And if you look back at the past few weeks, the signs of how hard Sophie has been fighting become impossible to miss. From clapping back at critics who mocked Clark's shooting slump, to openly calling out officiating she believed was unfairly targeting the rookie, to arriving at games in matching warm-ups with Lexie Hull as a subtle show of unity before one of the Fever's most tense homestands. Every move screamed one message. Sophie wasn't just protecting a teammate, she was protecting a sister. Sophie brought the fire to the announcement, then Lexie Hull brought the quiet gravity that made the moment unforgettable. Because Lexie isn't one to chase the spotlight. She's known for precision on the court, discipline in the locker room, and a calm presence that rarely wavers. So when she stepped up beside Sophie and took the mic, it wasn't routine, it was a statement. A deliberate choice to stand shoulder to shoulder in that silence, her softer but steady voice carrying the weight of the truth nobody wanted to hear. The mic mid-sentence, it was the kind of moment that made the entire room lean in. Lexie's tone was calm, but beneath it was the faint tremor of someone carrying more than just words, someone trying to steady a wave of emotion before it broke. For longtime Fever fans, that made the moment cut even deeper. Because Lexie and Caitlin's bond hasn't just been professional. It's been visible all season in ways you couldn't miss. The quick glances after a big bucket. The extra high fives in practice. The way Lexie was always one of the first sprinting to half court to meet Caitlin after a game winner. It was subtle, but undeniable chemistry. An unspoken connection that fueled the team's energy. Which is why hearing Lexie be the one to speak on Caitlin stepping away didn't feel like a scripted teammate statement. It felt like watching someone speak through a personal loss. And if you trace back over recent weeks, Lexie's rise has been impossible to ignore. More confidence firing from deep. Sharper reads on defense. Viral pre-game fashion moments with Sophie that had fans buzzing. All signs of a player stepping into her own spotlight, carving out a bigger place in the Fever's identity. Yet today, none of that mattered. By choosing to stand shoulder to shoulder with Sophie for this announcement, Lexie sent a message that cut through the noise. Protecting Caitlin Clark comes before everything else. But what made the announcement land with even more weight wasn't what was said, it was what wasn't. Caitlin Clark herself remained completely silent. And in today's sports world, that silence was deafening. Because in an era where athletes beat their teams to the punch with their own Twitter posts or Instagram stories, Caitlin's absence from every platform spoke louder than any press release ever could. And it's not like she hasn't been active. Just weeks ago, she was joking back at Sophie's light-hearted digs about her lack of social media presence. She was posting behind-the-scenes glimpses from practice. She even told a reporter, with that trademark smirk, that she prefers to focus on basketball, not likes. At the time, it felt casual. But now, looking back, it feels almost like foreshadowing, a breadcrumb trail hinting that she was already preparing to step away, carefully guarding her space without inviting the storm of speculation. And when you layer that with her most recent interviews, you start to see the cracks more clearly. Her answers shorter. Her smiles tighter. The spark that usually lit up her pressers dimming just enough for the diehards to notice. What seemed like exhaustion in the grind of a rookie season now feels like something much heavier. Something that makes her silence today echo even louder. You start to see a pattern. Her answers got shorter. That trademark enthusiasm just a touch dimmer. And any time a question drifted toward her personal life, Caitlin pivoted with the kind of speed you only see from someone protecting more than just the ball. It all paints the picture of a player carrying something far heavier than the stat sheet could ever show. Oh, when Sophie and Lexie fielded question after question at the press conference, Caitlin's empty seat became the silent centerpiece of the entire room. A wordless reminder that whatever she's facing, it's serious enough to pull her away from the very game she's built her life around. And that silence, it's become the canvas for every rumor, theory, and anonymous whisper flooding sports media. But the impact of Caitlin Clark stepping away goes far beyond one missing player. This isn't just any rookie. She's the centerpiece of Indiana's offense, the league's biggest draw, and the engine behind record ticket sales and surging TV ratings. Which is why the shockwaves were instant. Rival teams immediately started reshuffling game plans. Media outlets scrambled to rewrite storylines. And league officials quietly wondered what this would mean for the playoff push and the momentum they've been riding since opening night. Inside the Fever's locker room, the ripple effect hits just as hard. No matter how much Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull rise as leaders, Caitlin's presence changes everything. From the way defenses shift, to the rhythm of the offense, to the confidence her teammates carry into crunch time. Without her, Indiana faces a whole new set of challenges, both strategic and emotional. And while the public sees a united front, the pressure is simmering behind the scenes. Every practice, every pre-game huddle, Every fourth-quarter possession will be defined by the absence of their brightest star. And if that wasn't enough, the timing makes it all the more brutal. You start to see a pattern. Her answers got shorter. That trademark enthusiasm just a touch dimmer. And any time a question drifted toward her personal life, Caitlin pivoted with the kind of speed you only see from someone protecting more than just the ball. It all paints the picture of a player carrying something far heavier than the stat sheet could ever show. When Sophie and Lexie fielded question after question at the press conference, Caitlin's empty seat became the silent centerpiece of the entire room. A wordless reminder that whatever she's facing, it's serious enough to pull her away from the very game she's built her life around. And that silence. It's become the canvas for every rumor, theory, and anonymous whisper flooding sports media. But the impact of Caitlin Clark stepping away goes far beyond one missing player. This isn't just any rookie. She's the centerpiece of Indiana's offense, the league's biggest draw, and the engine behind record ticket sales and surging TV ratings. Which is why the shockwaves were instant. Rival teams immediately started reshuffling game plans. Media outlets scrambled to rewrite storylines. And league officials quietly wondered what this would mean for the playoff push and the momentum they've been riding since opening night. Inside the Fever's locker room, the ripple effect hits just as hard. No matter how much Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull rise as leaders, Caitlin's presence changes everything. From the way defenses shift, to the rhythm of the offense, to the confidence her teammates carry into crunch time. Without her, Indiana faces a whole new set of challenges, both strategic and emotional. And while the public sees a united front, the pressure is simmering behind the scenes. Every practice, every pre-game huddle, every fourth-quarter possession will be defined by the absence of their brightest star. And if that wasn't enough, the timing makes it all the more brutal. Even more brutal, the timing couldn't be worse. The Fever had finally hit their stride, stringing together key wins that were flipping the narrative from rebuilding year to legit contenders. Now that storyline hangs by a thread, as fans, analysts, and even rival players question whether this team can weather the storm without the very player they've been built around. And yet, in the middle of all this uncertainty, there's a strange defiance radiating from the Fever's core. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull don't look like players bracing for free fall. They look like players sharpening their edge, rallying teammates in ways that rarely make highlight reels, and carrying themselves with the conviction of a group refusing to fold. They found subtle but powerful ways to keep Caitlin's presence alive, wearing her number on wristbands, posting throwback clips of her biggest plays, small gestures that send a loud message. They're not giving up on her or the season. Still, inspiration doesn't erase reality. The Fever's future now hinges on something no one outside their inner circle can control. The silence surrounding Caitlin's situation has only deepened the intrigue, leaving everyone to wonder. Is this a short break, a season-ending setback, or the first sign of a bigger shift in her career? The truth is, nobody knows. Not the analysts. Not the fans. Not even the reporters scrambling for scoops. The only people with answers are staying silent. And maybe that's exactly how they want it. What began as a sudden, emotional announcement has spiraled into one of the most gripping mysteries of the WNBA season. A story that's as much about loyalty, friendship, and protection as it is about basketball. And no matter what comes next, one thing is clear. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull have drawn a line in the sand. They'll stand by Caitlin Clark through whatever storm she's facing. The rest of us can only wait, watch, and wonder how different the league might look the moment she finally steps back on the court.